Yeah.
They approved ordinance except
Is it?
express or no? Like the other page of it, down.
I thought this was a finance committee meeting.
Well, you're sitting in a
That's
spot.
like, when I walked in, that's how it was, but, because I was looking for the agenda. But I don't know if it was just the budgets that were,
Yeah, just the budgets that those four
those four, and then it's
plus police.
library, COA facilities, then police.
Yeah.
All right, so it's 5:34 on Monday, March 18th. We'll begin tonight's joint meeting with Finance Committee. We're just waiting for a couple of things to be printed out from Michael, and then we'll start. But the schedule that was put forth by the Finance Committee for the next couple of weeks to meet, Thursday, we can,
This Thursday we won't meet. Yeah.
yeah, so we'll scratch that Thursday.
Yeah.
And then it was, so Tuesday, Wednesday this week, and then Tuesday,
For
Wednesday
you.
next week. Yeah, for our meetings, Tuesday, Wednesday. We do 5:30 on Wednesday?
No, I thought it was just regular. meeting.
So next week Tuesday will be
I have-
5:30 with the consultant on the paramedics and the fire budget. I think.
Tuesday, the 26th, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And then Wednesday, April 3rd, we'll start at 5:30 and do the rest of the budget meetings. Then you guys will have your meeting after.
Perfect. Oh, then that would be. Okay, that's.
Yeah.
I did-
PW.
Yeah.
So are they coming this Wednesday too?
No,
No,
no one's
no one's coming Wednesday.
Just us.
I did ask Michael today if he could just recirculate the schedule without the changes with the, which I think is just a removal of Thursday currently. And then, but with the time change, I was like, can you just resend it out with whatever we have now so we know? Just so everyone's on the same
Full
page.
budget being done next
Oh.
month.
That was on the, I believe Diane put that down for the 3rd. But that might be one that we might have to move if it deserves its own night.
I have it down. I have Thursday, it was supposed to be the 21st. The school.
I thought this, don't we usually meet together with the schools, at the school?
I've always met them here.
Yeah.
They've always come here.
You guys might go to the school committee one,
Yeah.
which is at the schools, but he usually comes and does it again here.
It's usually here, like,
So maybe
Where do you
maybe
have-
maybe TBD on the school, but we'll definitely.
School Parks and Rec Treasure Collector Board
Tuesday.
Health on Thursday.
And then the following Wednesday.
Thursday, the 21st.
Yeah, but Erin just said that we're not meeting that day.
Tuesdays at what, Aaron? 5?
5:30,
5:30.
Tuesday the 26th.
and then 5:30 Wednesday the 3rd.
Correct. And if we have to add the school meeting after that, we have time.
So on Julie's calendar, it showed Parks and Recreation, the school, the
Treasurer Collector and Board of Health.
Board of Health for Tuesday, the 21st.
No, Thursday, the
Thursday, the
21st.
21st.
Yeah.
So we'll have to, at least for the school Parks and Rec. I don't know how the treasurer got on there, I forget.
We've always had him come and do a joint meeting, but I don't know how you all feel about getting rid of that. He usually doesn't have much to ask for.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like our borrowing
Yeah.
schedule, which we don't really have much say so over, and then salaries.
Insurance, have we said it?
Oh yeah, he has the
The
insurance.
insurance.
too.
Okay.
I think it's on, I haven't seen the,
So I asked Mike to talk to him too, if like John has a perspective on whether or not he wants to come.
Say goodbye. It's farewell.
What?
Farewell.
It's,
to
it's farewell to
I know.
him.
It's his last one.
Yeah, I saw trot him out.
yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I think the only request I would have is if a department is looking to add staffing, to then have that, a joint conversation on that versus
Yeah.
doing it separately.
Can I bring something up when we're talking about that? I'm on the Conservation Commission now as a Jaconski protocol fill-in.
Very good.
Yeah, it's great. Kim Roth is the chair, and I guess they don't come to you guys for anything, or they don't usually do presentations. She, in going over like the state of the Conservation Commission, she generally, I guess they share a part-time person with Denora does building department, but they share not like a 19-hour person with everybody else. She's a little concerned. She's been promoted at work, and she's been doing a lot of stuff herself as far as permitting and things like that. And she wanted to explore possibly looking at a conservation agent, either part-time sharing with someone else or full-time, in the interest of knowing how. I talked to Michael informally. We weren't bullish on getting that through in time, through personnel and through finance and everything. And we were curious what the temperature would be to look into maybe hiring a consultant to help out with that. Either, I wasn't going to do a ton of legwork before we heard from you guys. And Michael's, I don't, what the number would be, if 30 was a number. She's just nervous that things aren't going to be happening. And that's an important board as far as getting things through. So I can either have her come talk to you guys. I just wanted to get it out there as soon as she brought it to me. So I don't expect an answer tonight, but it seems like, according to her, all the surrounding communities have something that's at least part-time. I think Bolton is full-time. Lancaster's full-time. Sterling and Berlin have part-time. There's daytime obligations, like permitting stuff. It's really technical.
Is it like an admin or like another admin?
It's
job,
more
or is
like
it
a conservation agent, someone who has a little bit of experience in the field, who can maybe go out and do a site visit, or can take, can come to the meeting and write up.
He's pretty
Like,
good.
uh,
And then she could get one.
Yeah, the orders that they produce are pretty technical. It's not just taking minutes. So, and again, I've only been in one meeting, and
Well, how you-
the learning curve has been very steep. So I can.
Because
We're fortunate. I
put
think
them
that
to try to get out.
Kim works
So that means you could have us.
state level. So
That's all right.
I'll catch you guys up. So I'm just a little nervous that we've been relying on the volunteers.
They're printing more.
Will, and if she doesn't have assigned bandwidth or just wants to spend more time with her family, I'm not sure how that hole gets filled without professional.
Yeah, maybe have someone come to one of your meetings and we can just do like a joint thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that, because we were looking at that a couple of years ago, at that possibility. And a lot of the businesses, if we don't have a conservation agent, what they struggle with is like the Conservation Commission meets, and then if they have like follow-up questions, or sometimes
Kids are doing this.
it's just like, you go like a month without getting any like real concrete feedback or answers. Sometimes people on the board might answer emails here and there, but
Right.
to have a dedicated resource that can pick up the phone or respond to an email in like a couple days would be a good benefit to all the business community as well.
Thanks. I'll see her availability for the 3rd.
Just
Thank
just for conversation, would it be worth looking into if, like, say you said Bolton, I think.
Split,
full-time,
yeah,
If you had something where, you could try to get a split person.
Absolutely.
Per diem or something
Yep.
like that.
yeah.
Instead of bringing on another full-time employee or someone like that, if there's a surrounding community that would, because I know that's been done with building inspectors.
Yes, exactly.
So if there isn't a lot on the plate,
That's something I want to explore. And again, trying to go for that whole thing to rush it through. I know the personnel board is very particular about new positions, and I didn't want to spring it on, without knowing what exactly was involved, but also knowing that there's, going to start being holes that need to be filled. So if in the meantime we could, bring on some help, which I think the planning board uses someone to help them, maybe, and happy to look down the road at, if we had a consultant here for a year, we could get an idea of the workload and what kind of position it requires, whether we can share something like that. So I was just looking for some kind of stopgap in the concern that on an already understaffed board, if their bandwidth gets tighter, I just don't know, how how the development stream would handle that. I suspect it wouldn't handle it well. So I'll talk to her and get some more information and try and get it on the third. Thanks for this, thanks for the input.
Perfect. Library, if you want to come up.
We had one. Let's show that.
Do you have anything, or do you need a copy?
For the library?
Yeah.
If there's a hard copy available, I just didn't have a chance to get home.
And
You want to grab that?
this is-
It's okay.
B,
I can-
do you,
I can
do you
see-
need your hard
See Sean
copy?
there.
Who's,
Ed doesn't have one.
Yeah, we can share, we can share.
I think we have copies for everything except.
I know, this is,
We usually have card copies everywhere.
here you go, hot off the press.
Thank you.
I'll take a hard copy if they're.
Different? Okay.
I'll take any hard copy. I'll take the hard. Doesn't, I don't care.
So, hi, welcome. Thank you for supporting the library. If, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it, but it's not terribly, there's nothing extraordinary right now in this budget. Just as basically it's 2% increase over last year. I'm not really sure if there's anything that specifically, salaries as usual takes up the most. We do have our materials that loan out to patrons, which, books, audios, videos, any electronic, if you are a user of ebooks or e-audios, that's all counts, but that has to be 15% of our budget. So whatever change happens to the budget, that has to be 15%. Miscellaneous office supplies, heat, light, and power, technology. I'm looking forward to the town's technology expenditures because we do have some serious needs in the library. Like we can't use Wi-Fi anywhere in many places. So I'm looking forward to that infrastructure. But that is not on my budget. So what I do have, I don't know if you have any questions before I go into my other commentary.
I don't know if do you want to just go through the whole presentation, then we can go back with questions after versus, stop and go along the way with questions? If there's a preference in what it is.
Yeah, I mean, so it doesn't look like you're asking for too much, and like you said, salaries kind of are what they are. So if there's anything additional that you want to provide commentary
So
on.
the one thing that is actually, I had an original budget created that my trustee said, oh, this is great, but it hinged on getting a position of assistant director. So I went for the personnel board and they did not want to fund it at the position where it should be funded. So we just decided because the head of adult services is retiring, Christine and I created the assistant director position whose sort of day-to-day duties would be head adult services, but they would also have administrative responsibilities as well, because there seems to be issues whenever I step out of the library. Anyway, it just seems like a good thing to have, but they did not fund it. So that was just, if it got funded, I'm going before the personnel board again next week. Then that budget would move up to 536,154, because we wouldn't have a head of adult services at, I have to look at my numbers. We wouldn't have a head of adult services at 54,000, but we would have this position at 72. So it would be, an additional 17,000 from what I'm presenting here.
So your head of adult services is retiring at
She
the
is
end of
retiring.
this fiscal year, and you're proposing instead of filling that position that you add a
That we create a position,
assistant director.
yeah, as an assistant director, and they would also do that job. is a sort of a good time to do it rather than waiting until you say, oh, we really need an assistant director, but now it's gonna cost all of the 72 as opposed to just this much difference.
So what does it mean by personnel board? Because they don't have a say so over funding, but they put it, they
They
didn't
put it
in
on the
scale?
grid, and
Okay.
because of where I am on G and where the head of adult services and head of children's services are, must be an E, they didn't want to put it on F. They put it back on E.
Okay.
So I said, I'm like, we can't really, I don't know how you supervise someone who's sort of at the same level as you. Anyway, so we're just going back, Christine and I are going back again on Tuesday, just to see if they will reconsider their original decision.
Sorry, just so I'm clear on that. They're okay with backfilling it, but they're not interested in changing the position.
Yes. Yeah. So that's just, this was something that my trustees really think we need. I really think we need, my staff really thinks we need. Just the current staff is not, I mean, there's no one on staff who's qualified.
And to Erin's point, they said that they are not supporting that because of funding.
I don't know if it's because of funding. I don't know specifically why, but
Okay.
they just,
They didn't give a clear
They just-
explanation.
In speaking with the chair of the board, they were not in favor of creating a new position for that. It wasn't about funding, as you mentioned, it has something to do with the funding piece. But it wasn't going to be a modification of head of adult services. They looked at it as being you're creating a new position altogether. And that's what they were not supportive of.
well, in the meeting, they weren't supportive of it being modified either. They just didn't want the position, they didn't want to put it as an F, I think is what they wanted, because they're like, oh, it's a reclassification. Okay, it's a new position. It was not how I understood is that they just didn't want to put a position on level F. They just want, fine, you can have the assistant director, but we're gonna fund it the same as it is now, but when it has that much more responsibility, it just doesn't seem like it's gonna get it. To be able to hire someone who has qualifications, you gotta, offer them salary. So I'm gonna go back and try again.
So for now, your budget has just the other person's salary in here as a placeholder, but that might change.
Yes. What I did do, there's a really neat thing called What's Your Library Worth? And it, takes all the services and things and then calculates what it actually, it's meant to do so people can say how many books they take out when this is what we're paying per, it's $34 per resident is the library budget, but total value is $958,775. So it's, people get use of the library. It does.
What is the current schedule that the library is open?
Tuesday through Saturday, 9 to 8, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9 to 6, Friday, and 9 to 5 on Saturday.
So it's not open on Sunday, Monday?
It is not open on Sunday, Monday, although, if we had staff to do it and the budget to do it, it would be terrific.
What is your schedule as far as what days do you work?
Sometimes I work Saturdays, but I've been coming in Monday through Friday to get stuff done on Mondays.
So you work on a day that the library is not open. And the only reason I bring that up is because one of the things that you point to with that position is when there's not senior staff available when you're not there. But if you're coming in on a day where the library is not open,
And then sometimes you got to come in on a day to get stuff done.
sometimes you're gonna get stuff done
Right.
when you can get it done.
Well, so I can work Saturdays, which I do work Saturdays. But I take vacations. I don't work every night. I mean, there's 50 hours that we're open. So if we opened more days, there would be, say, another 11, say, would have to be open 60 days. I still am not going to be there for 60 hours.
I understand, but when you're talking about adding a position for $72,000, well, technically net 18,000, right?
Right.
That for when you're not there, but if you're there on a day that the library is not open, you're kind of, in a way, creating that vacancy.
Yes and no. I have meetings off-site a lot. I mean, sometimes I do meetings on Mondays. I try to do meetings that are less disruptive. And yes, that's certainly legitimate commentary. And, you know, I either way, we still would like the position. I can't force it. But,
Just saying, as far as the need, right? Like, I think, there's positions at the town hall where if they have to go to conferences, on the day that when they work during the day, there's nothing they can do about it. They have to be there and their office is closed versus being scheduled for a day where the town hall is not open. Again, just creates that vacancy. So I think, when we look at the salaries over the last 5 years, there's a 40% increase. So I think to add another position, I understand what you mean by if you could double it up, then you're only adding net $18,000 to a salary versus $54,000 for the adult services. And then
Right.
if you need the assistant, but I would be curious if scheduling wise, if you were in the library, how much vacancy would that eliminate, and how much of a need would you still need for an assistant director? If you still did need an assistant director after you are there, then I would be supportive of it. But I think being there on a day off, or not a day off, a day that the library is closed,
right.
I would question. But I understand what the process is.
It just seemed like a good time to do it rather than say, now we need an assistant director. And oh, by the way, this is how much it's going to cost. We're trying to be a little bit considerate of the budget when it was proposed.
Perfect.
Mr.
Sure.
Chairman, I guess I'm trying to figure out how you're going to integrate this person, because that person is still going to have a specific job title with their duties. So basically, all you're saying is that you just want that person to cover when you're not there. So, but, let me finish. So,
Okay,
and so
sure.
then my thought process is, well, her job is there. Does she then drop what her duties are under that title to assume her new title, or how are you going to integrate that?
So it's pretty common in libraries of our size to have an assistant director / head of adult services. It helps continuity of running the library. It helps with succession planning. It helps with, so people, when I'm not there, I mean, for the most part, they're like, you don't know what to do. Just, have smooth running of the library. And
Can I just stop you for a second?
Yeah.
The person that's in that position, how long have they been in that position?
2 years.
2 years? I'm sorry.
All right. Anything else on that piece of it? All right. So then for the technology overlap. So, reading through, you had mentioned the Wi-Fi, you mentioned purchasing hardware for the use within the library, with the microfilm reading. So where we just had allocated $230,000 of ARPA funds to exactly what you were pointing to, including, I think that the estimate was going to be about 80 computers being purchased for all the departments. Is there still a need for $8,000 to be allocated to technology?
Well, that's like our copier printer lease that patrons use. We also have a yearly, an annual fee for our patron. I'm assuming the computer purchases and the technology purchases that are with the ARPA fund are for staff. So we have computers that patrons use.
Correct.
So that's where that money would come from, and there's, some of them need to be updated. Right now, the teams.
Correct. But, and I think that's where, you know, with the initial plan of purchasing 80 computers, then I would think that we could just use some of those to allocate towards what you're looking to do. Because, you know, one of the things that I know we're gonna try to move towards is at least having some uniformity with the devices, right? So if they're hypothetically, if they're using Hewlett Packard over here and you're using you know, Dell over there, and, you know, we want to try to get things uniform. So if we're purchasing those devices already, then I would think that we would try to do that together versus,
So you're saying that part of the ARPA fund would be used to purchase patron use computers? That's what I'm asking, because I thought.
That's
the
a
ARPA fund-
conversation we can have then.
Okay, because I thought the ARPA funds were strictly for staff.
It was $230,000 for the infrastructure for the town of Clinton, as far as council on aging, DPW, anywhere, town hall, library. So I think that's a conversation we can have
Okay,
with Mr. Ward and then see if we can do that because, you know, you know, to be able to remove $8,000 from the budget for something we're already going to be investing in. And then as far as the copier, it just says that you have a lease of, it's listed as a line item $7,300 approximately, $7,400. So you're saying there's a second copier in there for the patrons' use? That's
no,
not.
we have one copier printer that everybody uses.
Okay, there's only one. So then out of that $8,000 for the technology, then that wouldn't necessarily cover the copier because you have that listed under your office supplies.
Oh, okay, all right.
Right? So I just, you know, I think if there's if we can kind of peel some of that back, then, because we're already investing into that, then I don't see why we would need to fund $8,000 for library technology.
I mean, that's pretty much the same we've had for the past few years.
I mean, that's assuming that Michael's
Correct.
added that to, like Marie said, I mean, I think the original, I don't think there's clarity on it. I think it was like staff, updating staff computers. So if we are flagging that to remove out of her budget, just have to make sure it gets tagged onto.
Yeah, I think it's having the
I can see
conversation there.
Procurement,
Yeah.
like, makes sense if we're ordering, hopefully not all desktops, but hopefully we're ordering 40 computers of some sort, like, would it make sense to, from a, you know, procurement standpoint, order them all at scale? So I can see where you're looking to maybe be smart about that, but I just want to make sure that if we do move in this direction for that, be sure it gets tagged on to that ARPA efforts.
Agreed. So not removing it unless.
Unless it's, yeah, exactly. Unless we're like at the, I don't know how much there's wiggle room
Yeah.
with the ARPA. If there is, then yeah, tag it all in together.
And then just the last question I have, how much state funding did you receive last year and what do you have for that funding available to you now?
Maybe 30,000. But I'm guessing, I probably shouldn't guess, I can get back to you on that. I don't want to make up something that's.
Yeah, well, that's, which is fair. The reason I asked, what is that funding typically used for?
Programming, a lot of it's used for programming consultants. We paid for our feasibility study out of that, paying for our consultant out of that. And any special projects that come up that aren't in the budget that we can pay for.
So with the public programs that you're requesting the 13,000, that only funds partial of the program in itself.
Yeah.
Good. I don't have any other questions if anyone else does.
My only other question was on the the program that we applied for last year for the renovations? Is
Oh,
that still
we haven't
ongoing?
applied for it yet.
Oh,
So
okay.
we're in the process of filling out the application. It was a year-long process. It's due in May.
Okay.
So we won't know until next October if that is even a thing.
This October or the next one? This
The one that's coming up. So
October
next-
24?
Yes, the 24th.
Any other questions? Is there anything else you want to touch on or anything?
No, except that, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned for anyone who doesn't know, we actually, again, thank you to everyone in town hall who voted to go forward with the application for a new or renovated library. We're in the process of, and the town is in the process of applying for a building grant. And the first part of the grant would be, if we get it, design and specs. Part of one of our requirements is to suggest 2 spaces, 2 sites. We're obviously suggesting the site across the street because it already is a library. Right now, the sticking point is what we picked for the second site because there just aren't that many.
Very good. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, next, Council on Aging.
Good afternoon.
No.
Brought my bottles tonight. You guys always have me. Start coughing. So I sent you all the narrative and the budget. As you can see, I'm going to remain level funded for basically everything except for one thing, because the one thing is extremely important. So we've been able to take care of all the needs of seniors, basically, for the most part, with transportation and all of that is all set. Now we're looking at food insecurities. We do have Brady's Groceries, but what we're looking at doing is preparing a hot meal every day for lunch. So our meal site manager right now is 25 hours. So she's already benefited. This would be adding 10 hours. And that would give her the time to prep, prepare, purchase, and have hot meals every day, Monday through Friday. So other than that, the budget basically has stayed the same.
That would kick in benefits too.
What's that?
That would kick in benefits too. She knows.
Yeah, she's already benefited.
So essentially, she'd be full-time at
Yeah.
35. Yeah, perfect.
35 hours, yeah. Yeah, right now, like I said, she is 25 and benefited. And we do, in addition to the Monday through Friday hot meals, we are already doing one night a month, a hot meal at night. So, and they're doing it tonight.
Mr. Chairman, how many people do you usually serve on a
Depending on the
Daily
lunch
basis.
and what it is, because, some things are not as popular as others, but we usually get between 12 and 18. Tonight, I think we have 8 over there for tonight's dinner.
Mr. Chair,
Sure.
do people sign up in advance for okay, so like how many people you're
Yeah.
gonna be, okay.
48 hours notice.
Okay.
So we'll know who's coming so we can buy the right amount. We don't like to waste.
And did you say there was like a nominal fee?
So we charge $5,
Mm-hmm.
which is just a nominal fee.
Yeah.
And, that, makes them vested in it where they'll show up, they pay
Yeah.
the $5, they'll come to the meal. We have found if we offer some meals for free, they sign up and then don't come because it's
Yeah.
free.
Yeah.
We do have, like I said, a nice group, and not for nothing, if you can't afford it, you're still gonna eat it. That's not a thing. This is why we do Tuesdays, we have casserole every Tuesday. So the casserole is a goodwill donation. There's an envelope, you can put nothing in it, you can put $3 in it, you can put whatever you want in it. And we do the same on Fridays, because we have Super Fridays. So we have a homemade soup every Friday, and that's a donation as well. The only meal we're charging the $5 for is the once a month center meal and the Thursday lunches. And then we have free muffins on Mondays. And then Panera, they don't Panera on Wednesday. So we're providing food. It's just we want to have hot meal on those other days, Mondays and Tuesdays as well.
Thank you. Any questions from either board?
Well, just to clarify in my mind,
Yes,
there's one day a week, Thursdays,
yep,
that you provide a lunch for $5.
correct. And that includes your drink and dessert and no tip.
Okay. So the other days, one day, Thursday is a casserole,
Tuesdays, we have casserole every Tuesday.
Tuesday is a casserole, and that wouldn't be the $5 day.
Nope, it's a donation.
Okay, and then there's Super Friday.
Yep.
So there's
Soup on
soup on Friday,
Yep.
and that's a donation
Donation
also.
as well.
So basically,
Monday
you're
and
providing
Tuesdays.
3 lunches a day, you're providing lunch 3 days a week. And this extra money is going to enable there to be a lunch every day.
Every day. So Monday and Wednesday, we'd have a hot lunch as well. So every day there'd be a hot lunch. And I'm not asking for more money for the budget, but just the person to actually make the food.
Okay.
So like I said, I'm not asking for more money to the food costs, just the person to make the food. So just 10 hours, and that would allow her time to go grocery shopping, to prep the meals.
Okay, so you're adding Monday and Wednesday. And will that be a $5 meal, or will they be donation meals?
We haven't finalized, yeah. I mean, the donations are doing okay. It's, so, I mean, it may be, maybe we go with a smaller meal and don't charge and do it as a donation. Because the Thursday meals are a hearty meal.
Such as?
Meatloaf, potatoes.
Oh, all right, so it's like
A lunch, a dinner.
like a
yeah.
dinner, okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I want.
Tonight they have Irish pot pie.
I didn't know there was such a thing.
I didn't either.
There is at my house.
How many could you accommodate?
In the main dining room, I can actually fit 36. And that's what we have, like for our veterans breakfast, we'll have 30 to 40 people for veterans breakfast, which we do every third Friday. The small dining room, I can actually fit up to 12 in the small dining room. So like tonight, it's under 12, so they're having dinner in the small dining room. If it was larger, they would go into the main dining room.
It seems like a good deal. So why isn't it more popular?
Well, I mean, if you take example, my mother, she has her routine. She goes to Burger King one day, this day, she makes home this day, things like that. This is more people that are at home and don't want to cook for themselves. We get a lot of men at the lunches, things like that. So it's definitely for, you and your wife may not come down, but you might come to the dinner because it's at night. It's different than during the day. But we get a lot of our, like I said, the food insecurities right now, people having a hard time paying for groceries. So it's more people that need it than the people that just want it. Does that make sense?
Well, just why there aren't more people taking advantage of it?
I don't know. You know what, I would love, so we put out a constant contact, we put out a newsletter, we, put out Facebook, we try to get the word out, and yet there's still people I know that aren't getting the word. So we were gonna work on that. We're gonna work on trying to get that word out there to more people.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, because I know the soup kitchen does over 50 people almost every night. What are they, 6 nights a week, aren't they?
Yeah, they have it to go.
Yeah.
And a lot of
And
people like
I'm
that.
just following up on what Billy said, if you're
Yeah.
only doing 8 to 12, and every night there's, a sellout crowd. I mean, I know they don't charge anything at all.
Yeah.
Unless you want to leave something, but,
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
little different model. I mean, these are 60 plus years old, You know, that is anybody and everybody from the entire area.
Yeah, no, but they, sir, I mean, I
Yeah.
have been down as,
Oh, yeah.
definitely, I would say most are elderly. I mean, or people in need. I mean,
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
to be specific,
Social.
you know,
Yeah.
so.
Like I said, we do have a nice, like I said, we get between, I don't know, 50 and 125 people a day. And not all of them want to stay for lunch.
Mhm.
You know, they have plans, they're out with their friends, but the ones who do have lunch really do need and appreciate it.
Deb, I go to the Veterans Breakfast in Scott. It seems to have doubled, and I think probably the last, what was about 34
Yeah.
people? What happens after if you hit that 36 or?
Then we start spreading into all the whole downstairs. So before COVID, we did that because we were getting 40 plus. So we'd have the dining room, and then we would have the food in the middle room, the foyer, and then we'd have people in the small dining room. So we kind of spread it out across the.
So nobody's gonna be shut off? You can-
No, veteran, never, we'd never send a veteran away. No.
Any other questions? Very good.
Thank you, guys.
Very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Judge.
All right, next up, facilities.
Hello, everyone. All right, I'll run through kind of my line items, and I can, if you want to ask questions, or if you want to do it, or we can wait till the end. But, so I have my salary sheet, and we just finalized the union contract, so the new rates are included in this spreadsheet. I also updated the increased longevity that was bargained, the new building allowance amounts you'll see in the total. Also included in there is the summer help stipend. It's not a stipend, it's part of the budget, but I didn't change that at all. It was 30,000 the last several years, and that's more than enough for summer help. I did bump up our overtime from 40,000 to 45 based on the new rates. There was an increase in each step in the chart in the new contract, so that should cover that amount. And then one of the biggest things, other than that, it's not, I'll go through it real quick, but I am requesting a new custodial position on the town side. I think we're adequately staffed in the schools. We have a lead in each school, and then we have 3 nighttime custodians. On the town side, we have 2 custodians for the library, town hall, senior center, police. We currently contract out the Parks and Rec 3 days a week and the administration building at the schools, which I'm looking to remove. And as far as can 2 people do it, cover that ground, they can, but not to the quality that we're looking for. We don't have enough attention to spend up in the senior center on certain days because we have to go to the police station. If there's a call out or someone's sick or taking a vacation, then we're down to 1 custodian for 4 or 5 buildings. And it's not really sustainable. The buildings aren't getting the attention that they need. So I feel that over the course of my reign here, we did add a couple of custodians 2 years ago on the school side, and I think we're in a very good spot. And then looking at our department as a whole, I think this is kind of one of the final pieces to the puzzle to make sure we have enough coverage, not only at the schools, but also at the town facilities. With that being said, with adding this new position, we can allocate work a little bit differently. We can get rid of that contractor who only has a specific scope. We have a little bit more control over our employees, so what they do, whether that be moving furniture or something that doesn't happen every day, but we might need them to do that. We don't have that control with an outside vendor. We're paying them approximately $18,240. I believe that's pretty accurate, if my math is correct. The new union rate for a step 1 employee is $48,444.17. So this would be a full-time position. position. that we would like to fill. That being said, that would bring their facilities headcount to 23 full-time employees and 2 part-time employees to cover these 14 buildings and the surrounding grounds. Couple things on the line items. I facilities expenses, I did bump that up $10,000, and just to give you an idea of what we pay out of that, it's all our custodial supplies, and that's town side and school side. We probably, if it trends the right way over the last couple of years, and I get my data, is we spend about $125,000 to $130,000 in school custodial paper goods. And that's all 3 schools, so that's a total amount. So a good chunk of this line item is for that purpose. And then we add the town buildings on the side. It's much less money, but that comes out of that as well. Any dumpsters you see around town, that would come out of that as well. So I feel over the last, just looking at my budgets from past years and where we overspent, this is a line item that sometimes we're right on that order. So I did take 5,000 away from the trees, kind of just shifted it. And I did that because we put a very good dent in our tree list this year. I don't want to drop that too much because we do want to replant new trees. We still have a lot of stumps that need to be cleaned up, and that's an expense in its own. So we have some work to do there, but we made up so far this year some pretty good progress. We're getting less overtime calls because I feel like we're getting ahead of it a little bit when the weather comes in. And I've noticed those calls drop dramatically just this current fiscal year itself. Repairs and maintenance, I did go up a little bit. And again, the service fees that get added, I get letters every day from elevator companies, from pest control. Everyone has a service charge now or a travel fee. And I try to put a little buffer to make sure we get the same service that we're getting now. We're not running out of funding, which we shouldn't, but because of these service fees. The equipment is level funded, the capital improvements is level funded. We have more control over those expenses. We can plan a little bit ahead of time better than miscellaneous repairs. We could have a repair for 10,000, or the next week it could be 30,000, and that some of that is out of our control, so it's hard to predict. These other line items we can kind of budget for and plan a little bit more ahead of time and stay within that range. I did put together some grants and some funding that wouldn't come out of the operating budget. So we are applying for the second round of the Green Communities Grant, and I believe it's $200,000. Last round, the town received $164,000. And I just listed a few of the projects we completed with that grant money. We're in the process now of working with National Grid and their vendors to identify this kind of round of projects. And I think those need to be submitted by the end of April, and then we'll get an idea as what the town portion of that's going to be. I did meet with Dr. Meyer back in November, December, and there was a air quality HVAC grant. And the funds were allocated based on the town's population. And I was told that we did receive that funding. So we do have $356,477 in that grant. We're still trying to identify the scope of what's going to be used in that. It will be HVAC repairs, which is needed and costly. So that's a pretty big relief out of our operating costs or any potential warrant articles that we may have needed. But this, I believe, is solely for the schools. I have to double check that, but I would assume it's a school grant. So, but it's something. It is something. It's along the same lines as the Green Communities, because some of those projects that we can use that funding for would align with this. So if there's a project that's $350,000 and we want to use the grant, and then we want to use some of this, I think we can do something like that as well to complete a bigger project. project if needed. Those are two grants that we should have funding for this next fiscal year. I did come to the board on 2 occasions, so we do have money through the ARPA funds. We have spent some of that, but there will be windows for the fire station, a new rooftop heating and cooling unit for the fire station that won't be out of the operating budget, that will be out of these particular funds.
Brian.
Yeah.
What do you mean by not approved? It says on the sheet.
It wasn't when I wrote this,
Gotcha. Oh,
so I should have said that because I crossed out not. But yeah, when I wrote this, I didn't come to you guys yet, so
Perfect.
it was just, I didn't know when, the timing of when it was gonna be read. And then I listed the current warrant articles from last town meeting that we're still working on, so we have quite a bit that is in process of getting done. We're getting pricing a lot. Some of it we've started, the truck was ordered, the mower was ordered. So we are chipping away at that. But that's just other funding source that can be used this year. That's not out of the operating budget. And then I just wanted to mention real quick, the middle school project, kind of the unknown there, and how our view, we're not neglecting that building. We're there every day. Anything that needs to be repaired, we repair it, and we do the best we can while trying to make an educated decision as to, do we want to dump this amount of money into something, or, we want to be smart about it. But if it doesn't go through a town meeting, we might have to readjust. At least I will have to
What,
readjust.
Vale, what was it, Vale Street, what?
Sorry?
Did you say Vale Street,
No,
or did I mishear you?
no, they're talking about the middle school.
Oh, the middle school?
Yep,
Oh, I
yep.
thought I heard you say Vale.
But so I do have a list that we're not acting on yet. But I think you've seen presentations of what potential costs could be. And then it's not something that has to be done every night. If some reason it goes in a different direction, we can plan accordingly. But I did want to mention there might be a shift in what's being asked in future years. And then I won't get into the warrant articles because I'm still working on a couple of things to see if it could be funded through our budget, or if it's something that we need to go to town meeting with. But I know that town meeting is going to be a lot of attention on the project, so I'm trying to
Yeah, but we like the free
Not-
cash, so.
not add to it. So. But yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. If anyone has any questions.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
Just, I know, Brian, you're overwhelmed by a lot of stuff, but I'm just curious on the town hall, because, there's not much talk about it, but I
Yeah.
know that,
So we do have.
there was money that was approved for, I don't think these windows, exterior windows have been cleaned for
Yeah.
15 years or whatever. And there is some repairs that obviously need to be done, some painting and stuff, and
Yeah.
I was just wondering I know it's ongoing, but
Yeah, so
status is,
so one thing, I do have a list of potential items, whether it be new carpeting or painting or downstairs. I know people have kind of voiced what they would like. I also had 2 companies come in for the air ducts and because those haven't been cleaned. We clean what we can reach, but more detailed cleaning, and that's pretty expensive for a building like this, but it's something like that to improve air quality we can look at that. I know there's some repairs that have to be done in the auditorium, the roof. So to answer your question, there are things getting done as far as researching companies that can do certain things and getting pricing for certain projects, but
well, the
that
air
money's-
quality thing, that would have been out of that ARPA money. What was it, 600,000 for,
no.
no?
Well, no, it hasn't been requested yet. Maybe it could be. So that was for 2 additional projects that were at the high school.
Well, I thought that was throughout I thought that was for all. of
I
the
think
facilities.
it might be on Angela's spreadsheet that we haven't presented
okay.
yet. But yeah, it was discussed. It just hasn't, I haven't come to the board
Yeah, okay.
to request that yet. But yeah, with the way procurement is, things like these warrant articles from last year, we're just getting to, some of them are done, but some of them we're still getting pricing and hearing back from people.
No, I know. I
Ideally-
know. it
No,
doesn't-
I'm not saying that. It just, it gets frustrating at times to try and get things done when you have the money to get it done. It just, there's a whole process that takes a little time.
Well, God, the only reason, I mean, I know that when we did the town hall over, and, you know, we always, after that, the finance committee would put so much money every year to make sure that the town hall was maintained.
Mhm.
And, you know, Mike, you were on the board at the time, to keep, you know, really stay ahead of it, so we
Yep.
weren't coming like in 30 years and asking the town to pay $2 million because the town just fell apart, you know, the building, so.
No, it
I
makes
mean, it's
sense.
easier when you stay on top of it,
I agree 100%.
and that's just really my
Yeah,
concern.
no, absolutely.
Like the squeaky floor.
Up there.
People coming in and out right here.
Oh,
Everyone laughed at it until they had to sit next to it, and then they're like, you can't
They don't
hear
like
it then when someone's walking. Any other
Excuse me,
questions?
on your new equipment, what is a utility gator?
it's like a mini golf cart almost, but it has a back that you can dump, you can put dirt in here, you can put plants, flowers. Ideally, it's something good for like Woodlawn Cemetery, so you're not driving a truck up anything too narrow.
Then you use the term weatherization for the library, for
Yeah.
example.
So
What is-
that was weather stripping under doors, any seams, windows, ceiling windows to keep the heat, you know, inside.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's helpful in buildings of that age, and that they did at the town hall as well. And that was part of that original grant that they identified those as kind of energy efficient, cost savings to start small. You know, it's not a huge endeavor, but it's something that helps.
Thank you.
All right.
So,
Yep.
very good. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to say though, Brian, I think you do a good job. So I would like to say, I think you do a good job.
Missing a little pep in the step today, though. Huh?
Thanks, chief.
I knew it. So, thank you. Pile 7.
Every number goes to this thing.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. Police Department, this fiscal year going into next year, we have a lot of projects, major projects going on. And I thank the Board of Selectmen and the Select Board for your support in that. One being the multi-band radio system. They're all installed in the cruisers. We have a box of radios at the station. We're still waiting some permissions from the state police to use some of the bands, but we'll be up and running with that very soon. We also got a grant over the year. We've been looking at 5 different companies. We've had 2 trial periods, 30 days and 60 days with body worn cameras. We've done a lot of due diligence to see what product is best for us. And there's a lot of products out there. Axon, Motorola, Custom Signals, LensLock, G-Tech. We're ready to make a decision on that and move forward. We have grant money from the EOPS office. I'm going to talk about later how the EOPS, the grant covers all the hardware and any costs associated with implementing the program, but it does not cover any of the cloud-based storage costs. So that's going to be something I'll talk to you guys about. We also just got in our possession and we're scheduling the training for a TrueNarc handheld narcotics analyzer. And with that, I did a little bit in the report that I sent you. I talked about it a little bit. It's a handheld. It allows officers to field test a substance, a suspicious substance, without actually opening a bag or coming into contact with the substance. And with the prevalence of heroin and unfortunately fentanyl, where a very tiny little drop could get an officer really sick, if not worse, or we've seen it throughout the country. So I think this is going to be a really good tool for our narcotics officers and our officers throughout our patrol staff and keep them safe. And that money was funded through a burn grant through the EOPS office as well. The other thing was through the 911 office, and this was state mandated. All the calls coming into the station on the business line, as well as the 911 calls and all the radio transmissions are recorded. 911, state 911 office said they're no longer going to maintain that recording system. They're only going to record the 911 calls. So we were mandated to go out and buy our own recording system that was in compliance with the state, but we had to take on the task of purchasing it and maintaining it ourselves. But through the state 911 office, we got a grant to do that as well. So that really doesn't affect any of our operations. The multiband radios is a huge upgrade to our communication systems and our interoperability and our ability to talk to, and I've talked to the board about it on the finance committee. They're multiband radios. They'll allow us to talk to agencies that are on a different band or a different channel. So we'll be able to talk to neighboring communities that we haven't had contact with. So when somebody comes, just as an example, hypothetical, someone were to be chasing a car into a house in our community, we would actually hear it on the radio and be able to communicate directly through our radio, where we have to call now through the dispatch center, call their dispatch center. And we're gonna eliminate that step, and we're gonna have direct contact. We saw where it would have been really effective when we had the swatting call at school, where there was a call of an active shooter, where we had multi-agencies, state police coming, where we could communicate directly with them from a radio right in their hand and ask them to be in different locations. So that's going to be big. And the body worn camera, we're pretty excited about, and the officers seem to be very excited to take it on. And we had officers take out the cameras, test them out, try it. We tried the video solutions. And like I said, I feel very confident and comfortable with the company that we came up with. They're actually not one of the more expensive, but we have another product. We have our onboard computers in the cruiser made by the same company. And I think it's going to be a very, very good product for us in our community. So I gave the reports, the supplement. Unfortunately, I totally forgot to put in that there is some grant money that we receive annually through the state 911 office. And there is some other grant money that we receive from them. We receive $47,252 annually through the support and incentive grant. And we don't basically just have to fill out the paperwork for that. That's based on the size of the community, the call volume. There's a formula at 911. Our dispatch supervisor, Dan Walsh, does most of that. And he can supplement that and add to it for training, overtime costs associated with training courses for the mandated training, for something like the recorder. It's not the grants open up like that. It's more the need. And he has to kind of communicate with 911 what our need is. And so a lot of times he gets denied, and a lot of times he gets approval for different equipment, a laptop or something in the dispatch center, to do some small improvements. So it's not a set. The 47,252 is definitely set, but we have gotten other equipment through that, chairs, things that they have to be specific to the dispatch center, obviously. So that's just a little bit where we're at and some of the things we have going on. We've got a lot going on. Some of those have been on my list of things that when I became chief to start thinking about and start pursuing and do negotiations through the support of the board and other departments people in the community. We're able to do that. We're going to continue to expand upon some of our grants. I know there's some grants out there now that we're looking at, not to get off of the budget, but some mental health grants to help us respond to the calls for service with people with mental health. And talking to some other communities that are doing some great things with co-responders and things. Town of Lancaster just partnered with Lunenburg, and Marlboro's had one for a while, and I've been talking to some chiefs and things, trying to get some information on that. So maybe next year we'll be talking about that. Sent a letter. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I gave the worksheet that I use too, my Excel sheet, if there's any questions where we're at. I provided with what I just handed out, a little diagram. A lot of our costs, as you can see, are salary and contractual obligations. The other one I'd say is pretty mandatory costs too, with the overtime, work compensation, training costs. Our operational costs, if we break it down, is probably about 7% of our budget. We're talking about heat, light, power, miscellaneous expenses, the rifle ranges, $1,100. New equipment, out of that is probably the cruisers, all of that. Getting the new cruiser and keeping the fleet up to date and maintained is probably the bulk of that. And I try to add, and I have it in the report, but I broke it down and increased the font, make it easier to follow. If anybody has any questions about some of the increases I'm talking about in the budget.
So do some of these new like body cameras, the device for the substances,
Yeah.
do those require that like the additional training? Does that go into like the additional training?
The training
Needed.
comes with it. Training is provided by the company.
Okay, but you have to pay your officers to go to that, or?
Yeah, we'll try to do the best we can. We always try to do the best we can, but it's difficult to schedule training, but we do the best we can. Officers from the night shift, we take down from the shift when we can, and try to not create overtime. That expands, we can get a lot more training out of that, not only save money in the budget, but get a lot more bang for the buck. So it may require some overtime, officers that are on different shifts, but we'll do the best we can with that. But the training, as far as the personnel coming in, that's all included in the contracts, 5-year warranty with piece of equipment, and it's a 4 or 6 hour training. They come out and train 12 officers in the use of, and the same thing with body cams. Body cams will come in and train all the officers in the department. And there's kind of a level of training. They'll train the officers who just use the device and view their own videos. They'll train the supervisors to have some expanded use of the software, and the administrators who do redaction. We're sending it out to the media or sending it out to the court.
Are there storage challenges there, or are you gonna have to take on extra storage? Or you think you have enough?
No, we'll be fine with the storage.
I mean, oh, sorry, like data storage. Like, do you have to store, do you have to keep those like the 911 calls or like the tapes?
Yes,
Do you have to?
yeah, there's, that'll all be in our policy and through, we're not the first ones getting it, so
Sure.
we're gonna kind of steal what's going on and what's the common practice, best practice that other departments in the post came out, after the police reform, they had a body cam task force with recommendations, and we're gonna follow those.
So you don't have to-
Mandate any body worn camera, we're kind of waiting on that
Yeah.
to see if that is what was gonna happen. But the task force didn't, but they did come out with some recommendations, and some of them, they highly recommended certain things, so.
But you
Those
need
don't-
like a crazy hard drive or anything to store
Oh,
that.
yeah, yeah. But you keep them for a certain amount of time, and you don't want to keep them forever either, because then if somebody asks for all your body worn cameras, then you gotta go back.
Yeah.
So, motor vehicle stop, different things will have different tiers of how long they.
Is that cloud-based?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where the extra cost is. The EOPS office will cover the equipment and the training and any IT work that we need to be done to hook them up, but it won't cover any cloud. Any of the cloud storage.
Under, you have Summer Youth Police Academy, which is a new program. What is that about?
We're gonna try to do it, we are going to do a summer youth police academy, 6th grade through 8th. We had our SRO, our Sylvester, went out to Hudson and spent a week with them last year. They do 2 weeks. They do 30 students each session, and they go through the whole academy. They yell at the kids when they get there, and they go through their bags, make sure all the equipment's there, and they go right through. The beauty of it, they meet with parents before and go over kind of what's gonna happen, and this is what we're gonna put your kid through. And there's some really good life lessons too, from what he was saying, and I have from Hudson. We're kind of using Hudson as a model, and other departments have, because they've been doing it for like 25, 30 years, and they really have, they almost have to shut kids off. That's why they can do 2 sessions. So we're trying to model that, and we're gonna start small, maybe 20, 25 kids, and do 1 session and see if we can expand. We have, hopefully that'll help us with some money. We're also gonna possibly use some of the money from some of the forfeiture, state law enforcement, because it's earmarked for community events and things like this.
So you'll advertise it through the school to
We're
get,
gonna put it through the school. SRO is supposed to talk to the new people in charge of the summer enrichment program and make sure, I asked them to see if we can not intersect with something that's some popular items that week, so that we get get signed up. As we know, there's only a certain pool of kids to choose from. But we're gonna put it out through there, through social media, we'll put it out through the schools and let everybody know about it. And hopefully, like we said, start small. We're gonna try to reach out to other agencies too. I know departments have the air wing, they usually end up canceling, but you get the canine dogs, and there's a whole list of things. Some of the things are like public speaking, like they give them reports to come in the next day, things like that to really build the kids up. It should be a good program. We're pretty excited about it. We've been talking about it for a couple of years and we're finally going forward this year, so that should be great.
Great.
That 2,000 will get us started with what we need to do for some supplies and t-shirts and everything we need to get going.
That's awesome.
Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
just, Chief, I know you have a relatively young force now.
Very,
Yeah. How many do you see like, coming down the next 2 or 3 years that are going to be retiring? Is there anybody that, I mean,
no, not too bad.
Yeah.
There's a few officers with 30 years, 27 in May, and another 27, there's a couple of 26, 27 just under me. So after that batch, then we're very young. There's a little bit of a gap in between, and we have a lot of officers 2-3 years on.
so I mean, that's not going to create a problem for you then, you know, like with a lot of
No,
turnover or
what we've
anything
been trying
like
to
that?
do is, we're trying to increase, in one of my things, we had a meeting with the sergeants and we talked about, we have some online training, some other training that we sent them to, really trying to stress leadership training. And not just how to handle a call as a supervisor, but more the big picture, just thinking of leadership. So hopefully my job is to, hopefully when I leave, the next person that sits in the chair is a smooth transition and things will be done. And the same thing with the lieutenants and the sergeants right on up. So if we're doing it right, everybody will be prepared to take on those positions. That's what the hope is. We do have a lot of young guys who are very excited and out there doing good things, very proactive. We have a good group of people that are very compassionate, and not to say that other officers weren't retired in the past, but we have a good group of officers that care about the community, I think, so.
Yeah, I really have to
it's my
say,
job.
right, no, I have to say, people have commented.
They
The
comment to me.
Clinton Police
about-
Department is a really, yeah, they're young force, they're nice, they're polite. Yeah, it's good. That's good to hear.
Where are you at with the contracts? Did you just re-up or?
Contracts were good. The officers have a 2% raise going into this, and I added all that in. The only contract we are waiting on, and we just met the other day, is with the dispatchers. So we still have, we did a 1 year with the dispatchers, so we're still talking about 2 years. So that could affect retroactively till last year into this year. So that could change these numbers for sure.
Yeah.
We have 10 dispatchers, so we have 9 now. We just lost one, so we're looking for another one.
What about police? When are you good till for contracts? Or was it just this year or?
We're good through this fiscal year.
Okay.
This will be the 3rd year.
Oh, this is the 3rd year.
Yeah, so, but we're hoping, and Mr. Wood's been telling us, we're gonna start negotiating right away in the fall, and get things going. Hopefully, we had some big ticket items on the last one with civil service and body worn cameras. I anticipate this one will be, that one went well, but maybe with some of the big items off the table, go even smoother. But yeah, so I do anticipate some costs with the dispatch, and that is on my list to express to you guys and talk about. The body worn camera storage, I didn't have on the initial report. The latest, I wasn't sure what company either, so I was kind of putting it off until, and I think the one we're going with for sure told me 12,500, but they upped it a little bit to 13,500. So I will need that if we continue with body worn cameras. Dispatch union is still negotiating. I did have tasers on there too, if you guys noticed. That isn't a must, but I try to explain in there that the tasers are at end of life. You know, who's actually going through this is state police, because they're selling off all their old equipment. They're moving on from the 7s, which are not being manufactured or maintained anymore, and they're moving on to the new product. Moving on to the 7. The one we have now is the X something. But they're selling off their cartridges and everything at a discounted price because they're moving on to a new one. So what it means now is if we, in April, our 5-year commitment with them is up. So after that, because they're not maintaining or manufacturing this product anymore, if they break, they break, and that's pretty much the end of it. But we can continue to use them and train in them. We train annually on them, 4 hours, and we shoot tasers, and we have to buy new cartridges and all that. There's a cost associated with that. But that's up to what we have. And I didn't know, I talked a little bit with Mr. Ward about whether we can do a 5-year, $10,000 a year, or we can, it's better off for me to try to put it as a warrant article for $50,000, and that would give us a 5-year warranty and maintenance agreement on the taser devices.
With the agent device, is there any concerns of reliability?
There would be.
Yeah.
There would be. And even some small things, like even if like the display went out, you know, usually we ship that out and it's no problem. It's taken care of. Where the end of the life with the device, that would probably be it.
Probably something you want to work when you're.
Yeah.
Yeah, want it to function.
And that's not that if you were to go in the direction of placing them, then it would be a matter of whether you do the 10,000 per year or do 50,000 in one shot. So that would be, I don't know if there's any preference on.
And that would get us through another 5 years.
I would just prefer to do it in a warrant article to get it covered.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've done it as an annual expense in the past, but.
I mean, Diane might want to weigh in too,
Yeah.
but
I can talk to her.
yeah.
And what we would do, we'd probably order them to get them in February is our annual training. So we wouldn't get them in April because you would have to retrain the devices. So we're certified all the way through next February. So we probably then try to time it so that the devices are here at the same time that we're ready for our training.
And would you anticipate that for this town meeting, the warrant?
It would be this, they're up this year.
I mean, the only concern I would have about doing a warrant
Say in
article would
April,
be
April is 2 weeks.
is if it were not to pass a town meeting, then,
Oh,
you know, that would.
yeah, that, I mean, yeah, what?
I hear you. I don't want to say it, but
I know.
I would hate for that.
Yeah. Yeah, or we just put it in the budget and we can even fund it through cash because it's a kind of like a one-time expense each year.
But I mean, is it really, I mean, it's tasers are part of the day-to-day. I mean, they're not going away. They're going to be part of the police equipment.
They're a very useful device where we don't have to go from one use of force option to a deadly force. They're
Right.
in between. And I'll tell you, we used them a little bit more when we first got them, and now kind of word spreads, and you usually don't get tased twice. It's a good deterrent. It's a better deterrent than
It works,
tool.
yeah.
But you're saying it's more of like an ongoing cost. 'cause you're
Yeah,
not
I'm
gonna
saying,
get
right,
rid
if it's gonna be, if it's just gonna be a part of everyday life, you know, and if, I would think.
Yeah, I
it'd just
think
be
it's
in
an
the budget.
important thing we need to do to invest, but I don't know how you guys want me to proceed if it's an annual cost. It would still be a 5-year commitment, and we pay up front for the 5-year service agreement,
Yeah.
warranty. We would pay $10,000 a year.
And we provided you no clarity because some people said one thing, some.
But when the 5 years is up, we're gonna have to do something else, basically. I would just put it in as a line item as. I would just do it as 50. I would
Yeah.
just do it as 50 and pay it through cash in 1 year, so you're covered.
Yeah.
Taser supplies, $4,000 is a line item under the miscellaneous expense request.
That is an annual, we send the instructors to training, and we buy the cartridges. We have to use 2 cartridges per officer every year on training. We have to replace those. There is an end of life on the ones that we don't use that sit in a box, so we try to refresh those and use them up. That's why this whole state police deal may not be very clear. There is an end of life. I don't know when it expires. I don't know when they expire. So there is an annual cost with the training, but the cost of the equipment is what I'm talking about as a major. How you guys want me to proceed with that?
So was it, you gave direction on what your suggestion was?
Well,
Okay.
50 for this year
Yeah.
and just pay it up front. No, sorry, in your budget. I changed.
No,
Yeah.
okay.
Just in case.
Yeah, part of your, it's like Eddie said, it's part of your equipment.
Yeah. All right, I'll get the exact cost and I have it in, working with the, people from Axon. We also looked at options and there are none. They have a monopoly. I wish I started Axon because they don't have any competition.
Kidding.
Nobody else makes an electronic control.
Huh.
Nobody. There's 100 different body cameras. There's one taser. Nobody's come up with a new pattern or a new way of doing it.
Any other questions? Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a lot here, so if you guys have any questions, please reach out or I can come back. This one's moving. Appreciate it.
If you do any arrest role playing this summer with the junior police officers,
We
you
need someone to be
subjects.
paid.
Great charity event.
Yeah. Volunteer to
He's
case.
a select board member.
That's for the kids.
Only if Eddie gets pepper sprays.
Would be the first to use our new taser.
I don't know what I would prefer, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. That would be-
All right, so we will meet
Choice.
next Tuesday at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Is that what you would suggest?
Oh, was it 5 or 5?
5:30
5:30?
p.m. on Tuesday.
So, yeah, so I was just pulling up Diane's email. So Tuesday, the 26th, 5:30, consultant presentation and fire budget. Wednesday, April 3rd, 5:30, DPW School Parks and Rec.
Okay.
Right.
We still
And that should be enough.
Yeah, so then
Wednesday?
that would be right before.
Those are all 5:30.
Yes. Right.
If anyone has anything else, if they don't, I'll accept it. Should we adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Thank you.